I've been in this house for almost 8 years, and today I'm finally doing something I've wanted to do for a very long time, and that is to change out these ugly, old, pink vertical blinds in my basement. Today I'm going to be installing this massive Serena shade by Lutron and seeing if it's the right type of covering for a sliding glass door like I have in my basement. Thank you to Lutron for sending this out to me for a full honest review. They did give me a significant discount for this review, but that's not going to sway my opinion in one way or another. If I don't like something, I'm definitely going to let you know. So one of my concerns with a shade like this at an entry door or a sliding glass door like what I have in the basement is how long it's going to take to open up. I don't want to hit a button and have to wait a minute or two for it to open up so I can get through the door. It's just going to be a pain in the butt. I'll talk more about the speed in just a couple minutes, but if you're new to Lutron, Lutron has been making smart home products for quite a while now. They are known in the industry as a premium brand, and they have some great products, all of which I've used in my home, from their light and fan controllers and their dimmer switches, which I've been using in my house personally for a couple years now, and most recently their outdoor smart plug. By far they're one of the most reliable and solid smart home products currently on the market, and I highly recommend them. But they do come at a cost. They're a little bit more expensive than other smart home products currently on the market. They also require a Lutron bridge to communicate with the internet and be able to use in your smart home platforms like Lady A, Google, and HomeKit. But unlike other smart home accessories, it doesn't communicate over Zigbee, Z-Wave, Thread, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi. It actually uses their own proprietary technology, which they call Total Connect. Different websites says it's 431 megahertz. I've seen 433 and 434 megahertz, but who knows? All I can tell you is that it works. Recently, I installed the Lutron Cassetta outdoor smart plug about 50-60 feet away from the home. I thought I was going to need a repeater, but I wanted to try it without it at first, and I gotta say it works perfectly every single time that I've tried to use it, even without the repeater. And that signal goes from about the center of my home, which is another 10 to 15 feet to the exterior wall and a bunch of other walls, and then another 50 or 60 feet outside, and it's a solid connection. Now of course every home is going to be different. Everyone's going to have a different situation. They say you should have your Lutron accessories within 30 feet of the bridge, and if you have accessories beyond that, they sell a repeater that you can put within 60 feet of that bridge, and then your accessories can go from another 30 feet away from that repeater. But like I said, I have almost a 6,000 square foot home, and I have no issues whatsoever with that single bridge. Now Serena by Lutron has 3 different styles that you can choose from. They have the honeycomb, they have the 2-inch wood blind, and then they have the roller shades, which are the ones I'm going to be installing for my sliding glass door. Now because I'm going to be using this for a sliding glass door, I had to take the wood blinds off the list. They don't fully open. You can only tilt them remotely or smartly, and currently the wood blinds does not work with HomeKit. They say that's coming, but currently it does not. Only the honeycomb and the roller shades currently work with all 3 major platforms. Personally, my wife and I, we picked the roller shade only because we thought it would go a little bit better. They had a little bit more options in colors and fabric, which by the way, you can order free fabric samples from their website. I ordered a bunch of them. It came in a nice kit. They give you a good size sample. You can feel the material, you can feel the color, and you can really sit down and pick whichever one is your liking. When you're ready to order, you want to make sure you measure twice. It's really important that you get the measurements right. They walk you through the process. They have a bunch of videos how to measure. There's different ways that you can install this. You can install it inside mount, outside mount, on top mount. So you really want to make sure you measure twice, make sure you go over your numbers, and make sure you get the details down pat before you send and order one of these online. If you're not comfortable with this, they do offer a free in-house consultation. I'm not quite sure how it works or if they upcharge you when you're ready to order, but if you want to make sure the measurements are right, maybe it's a little bit better to go with an in-house professional like that. Once you have your measurements and you know what materials that you want to use, go back to the website and it'll walk you through the process. It'll ask you for your measurements, And then with the roller blades, you have two options for power. You have the battery option or the hard wired. Personally, I picked the wired option. I didn't want to deal with batteries, even though they say battery life is up to 2 years. I know I can run the wire right down the wall and secure it. And I can even probably poke a hole through the wall and run it inside the wall and then come back out and into the outlet just for a better and cleaner look. I ask you where you took your measurements. Do you want the inside mount, outside mount, on the frame, or above the frame? And then you're going to tell them what type of mounting you want. Make sure the way that you measured is the same way that you're going to tell them what type of mounting you want. If you're going to do the inside mount, you want to make sure you have at least 1.5 inches to install this. If you don't have 1.5 inches, you're going to have to put this on the outside. And then you can pick your headrail option. You can have this architectural fascia. It was kind of metallic and I kind of didn't like the look. I went for the fabric fascia. It is a little bit more expensive. Both these fascias are a little bit more money. I think it's like $200. And then you have the option of not getting a fascia at all. So if you have something else covering up the roll, that would be a good way to save a little bit of money. And then you want to pick the type of material that you want. They have the sheer material, the translucent, and the blackout. Personally, I wanted blackout shades. Sometimes I have guests that come over and they like sleeping in that room, or sometimes we watch a movie in that room. So having that blackout shade is definitely very useful. And then you're gonna pick your fabric. I highly recommend if you're doing the shades, get those samples, get them in the house, make sure you discuss with your spouse or your friends and family, whatever color and material that you're going to want. You want to get those in the house and make sure you get the right one. Now, one thing to note here is that you can already see that price to the right. Unfortunately, now that we're at the fabric, this is going to where it's going to jump up. It's just the way that they have their pricing. This is a premium product, so it's super expensive. I'll talk more about pricing in a minute. But on this fabric, make sure you get those samples. Make sure you pick the one that you want, the color, the fabric type, because each of these fabrics, even though the color was very similar, I noticed a lot of them were actually felt a lot different. So you do want to feel them, get them in your hand, and make sure it's the material that you want. And then you can pick your end caps. Mine is a inside mount, so I'm not worried about the end caps, but I did pick gray ones. If you have the outside mount, you're definitely going to see the end cap, so make sure you get a color very similar to probably the fabric that you pick. And then you can order some accessories. If you want Pico remotes or RF remote, you definitely want to order that with them. They're actually designed specifically for shades, unlike their other Pico remotes that show like a light bulb. This actually shows a shade, so you can get that custom Pico remote. And if you don't already have one, make sure you get the Lutron bridge. That way you can connect this to the internet and other smart home platforms. And now you can see to the right, that price has definitely jumped up. In my particular size and material, this was almost $1,200. But remember, this is a premium brand. I do wish Lutron would lower the price, but I understand they have a premium product with a premium price. But if you have a budget for premium smart home products, you won't go wrong here. I'm going to be updating my full pros and cons list as I continue using this, and if I have any issues at all, I'll definitely let you know there, so definitely check that out. There'll be a link right there. It does take a couple weeks for your order to come in. All these are custom made to your specifications, so do expect a longer delivery date compared to other products that you order online these days. When you get your package, you can tell that this is a premium product. It is packaged very well to protect your shade. To install this is pretty simple. You do want to read the instructions. I'll give you a brief overview how to install this quickly. You want to remove your old shade or blind, whatever you had there. Everyone's gonna have something different. Once that's all removed, you want to do some dry testing of the mounting rail. Go ahead, make sure you have a tape measure, make sure you have a pencil. There's some other tools that you're going to need which are in the instructions. Make sure you measure twice, make sure you leave room. I think it needed a 1/2 inch room on either side of the mounting rail for the fascia. It'll tell you where to install the screws. If you have a longer expand like I did, you have 2 extra screws. You also have 2 extra mounting brackets that you have to put on the shade. There's 2 already on the end. Also, there's these 2 locking slides. You want to move them out of the way so they're actually open. Once you get the mounting brackets up in there, you're going to lock them in just so that it can't fall off. And once those locks are moved out of the way, you can go ahead and install your shade. First, make sure you remove the fascia. You don't need to put that on yet. Take your shade and you're going to actually snap those mounts that you put onto the shade into the mounting rail. You want to make sure you hear the snap for each mounting. I did have trouble with one. I had to take a little screwdriver and actually push in the little mounting just so I can actually make sure it was actually secure. Once you know it's secure, go ahead, take those two locking slides and lock in your shade. One thing to keep in mind is if you do have the wired edition like I do, make sure you run the wire correctly. They actually don't tell you how to do that. You just want to make sure nothing is getting in the way. Make sure the shade can operate normally. You might have to get some type of tape or something to hold it against the wall. I'm going to be installing this in the wall. That way it's not being seen at all. Now before you install the fascia, you want to go ahead and add this to the app. Go ahead, plug it in or put in your batteries. Go into the app, click on the wheel in the top left corner, hit add device, click on shades and blinds, and it'll walk you through the process. Now, I did have a little issue finding the little button that was next to the shade. I actually had to take like a pen or a paper clip and reach in there. I could barely touch it even with the paper clip. I couldn't see any lights until I actually hit it. It'll tell you to hold that button for about 10 seconds. Then it'll ask you what type of device you have. Here I hit roller. It'll then ask you what room you want to put it in. FYI, if you're using HomeKit, the room that you select here will also be transferred over to HomeKit. I originally put this in as a basement game room. I could not find the shade at all in HomeKit, and after about 10 minutes I realized there was this other room called basement game room. So it's not in your default room, it's not in the basement. It creates a separate room automatically. And that's it. It is now connected. If you're using Lady A or Google, make sure those accounts are synced, and just like that, it's going to work with all three major players. Now if you did get a Pico remote, go ahead and add that here the same way you just added the shade. It's going to walk you through the process. I personally wanted a way to operate this shade like it's a switch on the wall. So they sell these Pico remote mounts that you can actually put into a light switch cover, and once it's fully installed, it looks just like a normal switch. You don't have to cut anything out. You can put it right on the wall, right next to the 2-gang or 1-gang, whatever you have there, and just extend this out onto the wall, making it look like an additional switch. Next, inside the app, you want to set some limits, which means that you're going to tell the app how far closing all the way down to the floor is. They actually give you a little bit more fabric than you probably should need, so you do need to limit it so it doesn't drag on the floor. And then you're stopping. It pretty much going to stop when it's going to stop, but if you did want to stop it from opening up all the way, you can definitely set that limit. If you have multiple shades or blinds, you can set scenes so they can all go up and down at the same time. You can also set schedules, so if you want to open or close it early in the morning or close at night, you can definitely do that through the Lutron app. I highly recommend that you set schedules and routines probably with your primary controller, if it's HomeKit, Alexa, or Google. Putting routines and schedules in multiple apps, you're just going to get confused. But do you make sure if you like using other third-party apps for schedules and automations, definitely do that, but definitely do you. So now this is all installed and set up with all three major players. I'm going to set up some automations based off of how I work and how my family works. For an entry door shade like this at a sliding glass door, there's not too many automations, but if it was at a shade at window, I would have a lot more. Like maybe at sunset, maybe the shade would close and during the day it opens up. Here, people go in and out, and I don't want a specific time when it actually shuts. I might want to set up a automation when everyone leaves the house to make sure that it's shut, but then when I come home, I still want it shut until someone physically opens it up. And that leads into one of my concerns when I originally ordered this, is that can it open up fast enough that someone is willing to wait there and get out through a sliding glass door? Now, I did time myself to see how long it would take to open a vertical blinds, which I currently have. It took me about 12 seconds to tilt it and slide all the vertical blinds out of the way. Now, when it came to the Serena shades, I have about a 80-inch shade from top to bottom, and it took about 17 seconds to open up. It did take a little bit more time to open up versus a vertical blind, but it's not excessive. I'm not sitting there waiting, looking at the clock. It's only 5 extra seconds longer. You can also set up automation to shut that based off of temperature. If you have a temperature gauge accessory, smart home accessory in that room, you can automate saying once it reaches a certain temperature, go ahead and shut that shade. When it came to the sound level, I didn't find it to be very loud. Unfortunately, there's no way to slow it down. That'd be a great option for Lutron to add to slowly open the shade, but currently they don't have that. Now, I've been using this for a couple weeks now. I've had no issues whatsoever. I'm super happy with this. I wish it was cheaper, but it is a premium product. When you look up the price of this and measure it out, you're definitely going to have that sticker shock. But if you're in the market for a premium product and you want the best of the best, then the Serena Shades by Lutron is definitely a great choice. Thanks for watching, guys. I want to thank all my Patreon members. If you're brand new here, I hope you will consider subscribing down below for more great HomeKit content right here on Modern Day Tech. Thanks for watching. See you later. I'm out.